get it. When you open the box, you'll get the 65 is idling. All right, in this video, we're going to install the Link plug-and-play 2.7T ECU based off the TTX ECU in the G4X platform. So we're going to go through the unboxing, the install, as well as pinouts and anything that might come up while you're installing this ECU. Let's dive into it. When you open the box, you'll get the ECU. You get the USB cable that attaches to this top port. Bottom one is CAN cable hookup, so you'll hook up the CAN cable here. And then you have your vacuum and boost reference port that goes to the internal map sensor. And then you'll also have some stickers and activation information and all that stuff. So that's what's in your box. Once you get the cowling out of the way, we're gonna undo the negative battery cable just to make sure there's no power to anywhere in the system. And then we're gonna undo, I already took them out, but there's 5 8mm bolts. One way back here and one on the other side. So once you get those loose, just lift up, pull it out, and you get to your ECU. So yeah, there's actually right there's one of them, the other one's over here. Here's your ECU. There's going to be a bar that comes across. If you push down and kind of pull out this way, it'll undo, and then you can take the ECU out. So basically you'll just lift it up and undo the connectors by pulling these tabs outward, and the connectors come off. Okay, got the ECU out and undid the main body harness side coupling connectors from inside the e-box. They're all color coded, so they'll go right back to where they came out of. Just kind of grab and wiggle and pull up, and it'll release. And then you lift it up out of the e-box kind of like this. And it gives you all the room in the world to work on the harness. Because what we're going to need to do is swap pins to different locations to match up with the Link ECU, so that everything will match up fine and we won't have any issues. Because right now, the 1.8T side of the Link ECU, the TTX, is pretty much hard-coded, so we need to swap the pins to the correct locations for injectors, coils, and a couple other things. So we're gonna start that now by undoing, you basically cut these zip ties off, and this cover, you kind of squeeze and it'll lift up and pop off. And then underneath we'll get to the pins, and I'll show you that right now. Once you cut the zip ties off, so you'll squeeze right here, see that little tab right there? There's one on each side, so you'll squeeze and lift up, and there's little feet in the front that lock into the front part of the connector. You're gonna lift up and take the cover off. And then that'll expose the two sections of the pins. All right, we're gonna go over the pinouts and the changes for all of the pins in the 2.7T ECU connector. Pin 113 brown and green to pin 5, that's for cylinder 5 injector. The wire needs to be cut at 113 and then attached to pin 5, because the wire size does change, and the connectors are actually, the pin connectors are different. All right, so for injector number 5, we unhooked it from pin 113, then we're going to hook it to pin 5 right here. So that's going to allow for injector 5 control. Pin 86 and 87 are cam sensors, so they don't need to be changed. You can leave those alone. Pin 97, brown and green wire to pin 88, and that's going to be for cylinder 4 injector. All right, so we moved pin 97 to pin 88 for injector number 4. Pin 112, brown and blue, to pin 89. That's for cylinder 2 injector. We move pin 112 to pin 89 for injector 2. Pin 110, green and gray, to pin 95 for cylinder 2 coil. And we moved pin 110 to pin 95 for cylinder 2 coil. We got pin 88, brown and lilac, to pin 97 for cylinder 3 injector. And then pin 88 to pin 97 for injector number 3. Pin 89, which is white and yellow, to pin 115 for cylinder 6 injector. So the wire needs to be cut at pin 115 and then butt connected to the wire from pin 89. And that way it goes from a smaller wire to a larger wire, and the connectors also, the pin for the connector is also different, so that's why we have to butt connect that. All right, so pin 89, we cut the wire, which is a yellow and white, and then hooked it up to pin 115, which is this big one right here. This was cam control on the factory harness, but we hooked that there for injector number 6. Pin 95, which is gray and brown, to pin 113, cylinder 6 coil. All right, pin 95 to pin 113 for cylinder 6 coil. Pin 111, which is green and brown, to pin 47, cylinder 5 coil. Pin 111 to pin 47, which is going to jump over here, and that is for cylinder 5 coil. Then we have pin 61, which is a blue and brown wire, to pin 65 for VVT cam control solenoids. The solenoids are wired together, so we just need one wire for that. That's going to be auxiliary 5. VVT brown and blue wire from pin 115 that we cut earlier needs to be butt connected to pin 61 before you swap pin 61 to 65. That way the pins match up in the ECU connector. So pin 61, which was right here. So we're going to remove that from pin 61, hook it up to the brown and blue wire, and then we're going to come over here and move it to pin 65, which is this one right here. And that was the aux 5, which was for the fuel pump relay. But earlier on, remember, we moved that fuel pump relay wire to a different location due to the way it's going to be controlled. So hook that up here in 65, and that'll be aux 5. That'll control the VVT cam solenoid now. All right, checking the cam solenoids, both are clicking. So we're going to turn that to off. And they are no longer clicking. So that's great. It means that aux 5 is the control for that. And then pin 65, we have red and blue, to pin 63. And this is injector 7 output, but this is going to control the fuel pump relay. Pin 63 can be removed and the end taped up. So we're going to remove that wire completely and just tape the end of it so that it doesn't touch anything. And then for the fuel pump, we went from pin 65 to pin 63, and that's going to allow for fuel pump relay control. We moved the fuel pump relay control because if we don't and have it set up the way that it was from the factory, it'll keep the fuel pump running all the time. So this way we can control the ground control of it, and it doesn't stay controlled even when the ECU is off. So pin 67, lilac and blue wire, it needs to be butt connected to the ethanol sensor signal wire. That's DI8 is what it is on the ECU. So I'm not a huge fan of these T-tap connectors, but I ended up having to run it because of my ethanol content sensor gauge that I have in the cluster. But anyway, I tapped off of that and ran it here to the ECU. So I just basically cut this wire from the ECU and T-tapped it in there. You can hook it directly to the wire you have for your ethanol content sensor. That's going to be pin 67 for the ethanol content sensor. All right, so those are all the pin changes that we did in the video. I just wanted to go over that just to make sure that everybody understands all the correct things that need to be changed in the connectors. All right, so for the vacuum and boost reference, I teed off of the fuel pressure regulator vacuum source from the intake manifold. I also made a T here that goes to the boost gauge that I have. But you can, if you're not running a boost gauge, you can just run a vacuum line directly to the side of the ECU. I used a small zip tie and made it really tight, and it's holding on very, very well. So we're swapping pins 56 and 57, which are going to be the red and yellow and the red and black, these two right here. So we're going to swap those so we can get the cruise control set button to be inputted as brake no. And that's going to allow us to activate rolling anti-lag and also use cruise control to set the speed you want to be at, but mostly doing it for activation of rolling anti-lag. So we're going to swap these two right now, and then we'll activate it in the software. So now that everything's hooked up, we are going to get this installed in eBox. So basically you're going to turn the ECU sideways like this, and we're going to tuck under the harness underneath, and then it's going to sit on top. Okay, so you're going to tuck the boost and map reference line underneath. Going to angle the pin to the side like that for the connector for the cable, the diagnostic cable, and then it basically just sits right here like this. The harness we're going to tuck down just a little bit, so then it sits right through here, tuck here. I made a slit in the rubber boot. I had some dum-dum, so if you got a little dum-dum laying around, but if something to kind of seal this up so no water gets in there, and then the cover will go right on top of it. All right, so cover's on. I'll put a couple bolts in it, and it's secured. So now no water or moisture or anything is gonna be getting in there, which is great. And then everything else under here is pretty much set up how it was. So it's pretty cool. All right, so this is the analog out from the AEM gauge I have. And then I hooked it to pin 4 of this old O2 sensor connector. And that plugs right into O2 sensor 1. So this is what we're using for lambda and wideband input into the ECU. So you can do the same thing, or we can wire it directly to the ECU. It's totally your call, but this is kind of what I found to be the easiest. That way it plugs in, you don't have to disturb any other pins at the ECU. We're going to set up the e-throttle settings. They're pretty much defaulted to how they are in the ECU, but we still have to go through and calibrate. If this is disabled here, click on it multiple times. You can't just do it one click. You got to click it multiple times. It's like a failsafe. You go to setup mode, click OK. All right, now everything is changeable in all the different settings. These are all base settings for the throttle body itself, which they are all good. Feed forward settings if we got to do any fine tuning adjustments, and then throttle position is going to be the TPS at the throttle body. So voltage A and voltage 3 is correct, and A and voltage 4. All of the ranges for the errors. So if you have low voltage or too high voltage, you'll get an error fault. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this little wrench right here, which is going to be our calibration. Here running. So basically it moves the throttle valve and sees where the TPS sensors are. So we're going to hit that close. Now our voltages change and are stored here. So after you do that, go over to ECU controls and store to ECU. You can also do Control S. So Control S will save it. All right, now we're going to do throttle position. So throttle pedal position. Sorry, throttle pedal. And volt 5 and volt 6 are both correct, and these are the error voltages. That's all correct. So we're going to do the wrench again. So double tap. Click OK. Come in here and press the gas pedal all the way down. Click next. Release the gas pedal. Next. And done. All right. And if we look here, our voltages for volt 5 and 6, APS main and sub, all change. And they are going to be about 1/2 each other. That's just how the failsafe is for pretty much any drive-by-wire Volkswagen Audi. So we're gonna do Control S again. So that's saved, and throttle is all set up. Okay, let's crank it up. Here we go, first start. All right, almost, let's try again. All right, she's idling, and I mean, this is a genuine smile because I've been working on this for a while. Basically, the final thing that was causing the misfire was pins 103 and 94 were supposed to be swapped according to the wiring diagram. That's not the case. They need to be in the normal location. So that's cylinders 3 and cylinders 4. So, and when I swapped them back, I mean, she's idling perfect. Man, listen to that. Freaking purring. Dude, this is so cool. Yeah. All right, driving around for a bit, trying to get transient throttle and stuff dialed in. All right. See what we got here.